Hey everyone, one of the most common things when I talk about vibe coding that I get, especially at a conference, is can I do this inside of Copilot, inside of Microsoft Copilot? That's the only thing I have access to. And while my preference is Claude Code, I think it does the best inside of Claude. There's a couple of things that you can do inside of Copilot if that's the only thing that you have access to. So that's the point of today's video. We're going to just create a simple interaction, a vibe coded interaction, and then we're going to paste it inside of Rise, but we're going to create it all inside of Copilot so you can see how that actually works here. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to use my tool, my prompts tool, which you can get to if you go to learningdojo.ninja. And then once you sign up for a free account, the free account just allows you to get different ideas of different vibe coding prompts that you can do specifically for learning. And you can create your own and even save your own and share it out with the community as well. The one we're going to work on is the checklist challenge here. So create an HTML interactive procedure, compliance training for a specific topic. Walk the learner through a process, a series of steps as well. It's going to be just like a simple checklist. You have do this, do that. Now, Rise out of the box has a checklist that you can use, but you can't really customize it. So the point of today's video in creating this checklist, and the reason why you'd want to vibe code it, is because you can control it in any way that you want here. So let's go ahead and copy this. And we're going to add a topic, and that topic is going to be, let's go ahead and just add something like standards of conduct at Acme Inc. So our Acme Inc. Corporation. And then the process is going to be behavior at the workplace. Okay, we're going to keep it generic here, but I'm going to copy and I'm going to come into Copilot here. Now this is Copilot, just the web version of Copilot. So if you have Microsoft Office and you have access to Copilot, you can come to copilot.microsoft.com. Now I do have the new Copilot enabled. If you don't see the new Copilot, this is what you'll see, but I'm just going to click on new Copilot. And then we're going to come in over to the left-hand side. This is what most people don't actually realize. Even though you have Copilot, you don't have access to Claude or ChatGPT. Copilot uses those models. So you can come up here to the top where it says auto, and you can use either ChatGPT, and you can do like ChatGPT 5.2 or 5.5, or you can do Claude Opus. So since Claude Opus does a really good job with code, that's what I would actually use. Now, ChatGPT does a good job too. I just find that Claude is a little bit better here. So you can choose the model here, or if you select auto, you can let Copilot choose the model, and it will choose the best model depending on the request. I don't 100% trust that, so I want to choose the model that I want to use, and so I'm going to go ahead and do Opus here. Then I'm going to come in here and just paste in that prompt here. Now it is telling me to create an HTML interactive page, which I can then copy and paste it into Rise here. So let's go ahead and just hit enter here. The initial prompt is something that, create as much detail as you want there, but it's not going to be perfect. You need to go back and forth with Copilot to get it perfect. And this is where I think a couple things come into play. Focus on one feature at a time. Get that initial prompt there. But then when you're changing things, focus on one feature at a time, because the amount of credits that you have, or when you're working with AI, it's not about the number of prompts. It's about the level of effort that you're asking Copilot or Claude or anything to do. So if you're asking it big tasks every single time, it's going to take up a lot of your credits a lot quicker than if you just ask it one feature at a time. So don't feel bad about having to go and ask it for one feature at a time there. Now, as I scroll down, this may not be all the way done. So make sure you scroll all the way down, and then make sure that you also come down to the bottom here to see the HTML. Up on the top, you can search for a specific line. You can copy the code. You can select this drop-down box and decide if you want to have a horizontal split or if you just want to preview and so forth. You can also click on download. You can click on copy here. You can download a PNG, which is weird. I'm not sure why you can't just download the HTML file there. But what we're going to do is we're going to come down here. Now, one interesting thing is sometimes it doesn't show in this little small window. It doesn't show all of the features. So I don't really trust this window completely. Even if I was to get rid of the code above and just see the preview, it previews it in a really small window. So what I'm going to do, let's bring back this horizontal split here, is I'm going to copy this code before I fully go back and say, hey, nothing's working. Let's go ahead and just come into Rise here. So I'm going to add a Rise block somewhere between my content. So come into code here, and then I'll go into add block, and then I'll click on add code. Now when I click on add code, I can just go ahead and paste in that code. This gives me my checklist. So there's no start button or anything like that. There's just the checklist. I did not see all of this in that little small view inside of Copilot. So it's good to just copy the code and paste it into Rise to fully test out everything here. Now you can see the number, and if I select this, I have completed this step. You can see the progress bar start to animate up. Nice checklist. Gives me full control, but I may want to change a couple of different things. So let's come back into here, and this is where we start to iterate. This is where we start to give it, okay, change this, change that, and give us some specific instructions here. So let's come in here, and instead of typing this out, I'm going to use typeless. Okay, so I want to have, instead of the numbers on the side, I want those to be hollow circles. And that will be the check mark. And so when I've completed that task, I just click on that check mark, and it will show the check mark and show it as complete. And then at the end of all of the tasks being completed, I want to show a modal that says, congratulations, you can continue. So I'm giving it specific instructions on what I want to do, because the initial prompt is great, but most likely you're going to have to go back and forth a couple of times before you get exactly what you want here. Now, if I do want it to think a little bit more, I could come in here and instead of auto, I can go in and say think deeper, because it starts to generate the content like immediately. So if you wanted to okay, take its time, think through it a little bit so you get a better result, you could come up here to the top and then go to think deeper. However, something to keep in mind is, again, going back to it's the level of effort, not the number of prompts that you use. And that's the key with AI. So you're going to, if you have it always think deeper, you're going to run out of your credits a lot quicker. So that's something to just to keep in mind there. So let's scroll all the way down. You can see that it is still generating all the HTML, actually just finished. So now we can just go ahead and copy that code. Let's go back into Rise here. And you can either delete the block, add a new block, or if you click on this pencil icon, you can just come in here and delete the existing code, paste in the new code there. Now you can see there is our checkbox. So the number has moved over. It's not in the circle, but now I just click on the checkbox there. I like that a lot better, but let's take it a step further. Let's have the different boxes or the different steps here actually animate in from the bottom when you come to this page. So let's come back into Copilot and let's go ahead and prompt that. When you come to this page, I want these steps to actually animate from the bottom into place. So just something simple here. Now it's also, even though my prompt is small, if I'm asking it to do something big, it still could be the level of effort where it takes a lot of time. So it just depends, and it takes some practice going back and forth, kind of getting used to your different asks and the amount of effort that it does. That is just something to keep in mind here. Now, if you do run out of your credits a lot, then maybe you need to upgrade to the higher plan or something, which is so weird because it feels like I'm on an old school phone plan and where you're limited to the number of minutes. Hopefully that changes in the future, but this is kind of the state that we're at right now. All right, so let's scroll down. You can see that it might take a little bit more to generate because it has to generate some additional JavaScript. So let's give it a second there. And actually just finished. So let's go ahead and copy the code, come into here. Let's click on edit. Let's delete our previous code and then just paste in our new code. Now it happened really quick. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reload the page here and I'm going to scroll down so we can see it. And it's because I'm not on the top here. Let me move this up here. Okay, so now I'm going to just reload the page again. And you can see it starts to animate. So yes, you can use Copilot. You can use Copilot with Claude. You can use Copilot with ChatGPT to be able to vibe code, to create these different types of interactions, to go back and forth and copy and paste the code into Rise, into whatever interaction. Now, probably what would be the most challenging would be able to create a fully interactive piece of content that would have multiple pages and files and media and different things like that. That's where I'd probably want to use like Claude Code or Codex or different things like that, because they have tools to be able to do that on my desktop. And to do that just within the browser might be a little bit more challenging. Not saying it's not possible, just might be a little bit more challenging. However, I have talked about that. If you want to check this out, I have talked about how to take a single HTML file and SCORM wrap it too. So that is also a possibility if you wanted to create something inside of Copilot. Hopefully this just kind of lets you see what's possible inside of Copilot, that yes, it is something that I can vibe code with, and I can create these custom interactions and then copy and paste them into authoring tools. Now, I also have a video talking about how to get it into Storyline. So if you wanted to be able to create an interaction inside of Copilot, get it into Storyline, that is possible as well. If you want to check out more, head on over to my website at learningdojo.ninja. I do have previous blog posts where I cover all of that content. I also have full courses where you can learn how to vibe code. You can learn how to use JavaScript and Storyline. You can learn how to create a completely custom course in Claude Code as well. You can check all of that out there. That's all I have for today. So thanks everyone. I'll see you next time.